Welcome back, episode 173 of the Bears' latest podcast. I'm your host, Colton St. Vincent. Let's talk about some Bears football. Adam Schefter came out reported recently that he believes that the Bears are actually prepared to go to Indiana if the Illinois legislation does not go through for, Arlington Heights, right? He said he is likely Indiana bound. He feels like this is less than a leak and more like a message from the organization. Now, is this something that we actually believe? I do think that Schefter has been on payrolls more than we want to admit. I think this is, what do I mean by that? I think that somebody on the Bears staff, maybe directly from Kevin Warren or high up like that, maybe a McCaskey. I think that they are saying, hey, Shefty, here's a scoop. You can be the first one. I will sign something guaranteeing you will be the first one to break the news once we officially go to Arlington or go to Indiana. And part of the deal, you got to keep putting us in the news, making it seem like we are really going to go to Indiana. I think it's still just playing chess sort of situation. This is what rich people do. So waiting on Illinois legislation, but I mean, it would shift a lot, but not as much as people expect. On the outside looking in, it feels crazy. You don't really think of Hammond, Indiana being close to Chicago, but it's actually closer to Chicago than Arlington Heights. I know there's a big old scuttlebutt about the bottleneck getting from the Chicagoland area down around right down there at the bottom of Lake Michigan. I think if you really think about it, they would just fix all that. That's what I would guess, right? What was it, $3 billion stadium? You would think they'd build some infrastructure around it. If they don't, it's one of the all-time fuck-ups in Chicago sports history, if not American sports history. And for all those people that are like, well, they can't leave Illinois because they're the Chicago Bears. The New York teams have played in New Jersey forever. Has not been an issue. Plenty of championships over for the Giants in our time. They got 2 championships, and it doesn't seem like fans really care once you start winning Super Bowls, but who knows if this is to put pressure on lawmakers? Who knows if it's a statement by the team towards the city? But there was 2 other projected locations in the city. One was, I believe, one was like a political reason. It was like right next to what am I trying to think here? There's one directly next to the old Soldier Field Stadium. There's a location like right around there. And then there was another location next to a hospital. They were both denied by the city. One was for political reasons. One was for, I think, like pure, like reasonable reasons. So those city options dead. And it seems like it's a real thing. I'm not going to believe the Indiana move until I see it. So I can just leave it at that. Next up, Dexter Lawrence. All-Pro defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence seems available. Recently came out and asked for a trade from the Giants. He's an All-Pro, 2-time All-Pro defensive tackle. He's got the 2026 season and the 2027 season on contract. So it seems like he's going to make, for this next upcoming season, about $26 million, close to 27, and then lower in the $26 million range for the next season. Age 29 and 30 season. Is Dexter Lawrence good? Yeah. The dude's a 2-time All-Pro. That means he was one of, if not the best at his position in the NFL. Last year, 9th, according to Pro Football Focus. 9th overall grade out of 134 interior defensive linemen. 75.6 overall grade. Played the 14th most snaps, 27th most pressures. Finished with 22 tackles, but I genuinely don't understand why that's even a thing tracking tackles for an interior defensive lineman. The dude's just there to clog it up. So he was obviously really good 22-23. Hasn't been back since, but he's been the Giants the whole time, and he is requesting a trade. Now, is this something that the Bears could afford? I think so. I think, call me crazy, but if the Bears were to offer a first and a second this year and a second next year, I think that would do it. Maybe that's completely overreacting. Maybe that's underreacting. I made that up. I have no idea what anyone goes for ever. Angel Reese just got traded for 2 firsts. Luka didn't get traded for a first. And that's basketball. This is a whole different can of worms here with the football world. You see, like, what was his name? Who was that safety that just got traded from the Jets to the Seahawks? He was like 4 first-round picks, and then you see other guys go for like a 3rd-round pick. I don't understand how people value picks anymore. You really don't get the Bill Parcells, or was it Bill Parcells? No, it was Jimmy Johnson, like, chart of who's worth what pick. So something to really think about. What would you guys like the Bears to do in this situation? Would you like them to trade for a guy that we're going to have 2 years on? I think that's the last 2 years of Caleb's rookie deal. This is kind of what you do when your quarterback's good and on a rookie deal. You build around him. Or are you going to want to build through the draft and hope we can build some long-term success that way? So something to keep an eye on. I think it's a very exciting turn of events here for the Bears. So Ryan Poles, do your thing. Next up, something that's interesting. Cohen Carr. You may be thinking, why the flippin' heck is Cohen Carr on this show? He's a basketball player. Well, the dude's getting interest from NFL teams, including the Bears. He's an athletic freak. They don't really care if they're finding football players. He's 6'6" with a 51-inch vertical. That's unreal. So he's like an oversized wide receiver or a very athletic tight end. Guess what, guys? There were tight ends before. Stop me if you've heard this before. But Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, those guys were Hall of Famers, and they played college basketball. Now, they both played football as well. And when they were talking to Cohen Carr before, I think he even like jokes himself like, yeah, they hit way too hard in football, so that's why I quit. So that matters, man. There's lots of blocking schemes and route trees and a lot of stuff that being an athletic freak will not help with. However, if you are Cohen Carr and you just had a very good career at Michigan State, that means you were under Tom Izzo the whole time. And Tom Izzo is not a dummy. He doesn't like to have dummies on his team. It's going to be a very smart guy, very driven guy. So I don't think the hard work of the NFL would be a shock to him, like it would for other guys who wouldn't play college football. So super interesting. Again, 6'6", 50-inch vertical, 51 or something like that, and an athletic monster. So who knows if he has a future in the NBA? I don't know anything about the NBA. But who knows? Maybe he is the next successful guy that you can point at and say, that guy right there, that guy didn't even play college football. Like, there's a guy named DeMarcus Thomas. I can't remember his specific name, but he was the power forward for the UWM Panthers, UW Milwaukee basketball player, and then had some time in the NFL, played on the Chiefs for a very good amount of time. So it's not like it's crazy to think that Cohen Carr can't be a tight end in the NFL. And finally, our last highlight here. I've been reading up tons of mock drafts, obviously. It's April. March Madness is over, so we are looking towards the draft. And a name that I've seen pop up quite a bit for the Bears over and over and over is Chris Brazel. I'm going to say Brazel. We're going to officially go Chris Brazel II. Wide receiver out of Tennessee. Here, I'm going to give you some highlights here pretty quickly. We've got Chris Brazel is 6'4" and ran a 4.37. he wasn't like a breakout star, but to me those seem like numbers that you'd want to pick up pretty quickly. I think we've talked about this before on the show, but NFL.com gives like scouting grades, prospect grades, and they gave him a 6.36, which says he will eventually be a plus starter. That's nice. 14th best combine production according to this, the Next Gen Stats, and he's the 9th most athletic wide receiver in this class, 7th overall. Is this a guy that you would like to see the Bears draft? He's an absolute monster. He was a third-team All-American. His dad played in the pros for a little bit. His brother, Colin, is currently a defensive back for Tennessee. Played in a lot of games. He was a freshman All-American, so he got plenty of play there at Tulane when they were bad, I believe. So, yeah, dude. I think it's a guy. I would love to see something like this. Second round is a little high to fill in because then we'd have a first and 2 seconds in your wide receiver room. So on paper, all of that works, but you might, I guess Khalif Raymond's there. You know what? I'm talking myself into this. This is awesome. Bears have 2 second-round picks. Do not forget that. 2 second-round picks. One is their regular. One is the Bills from the DJ Moore trade. So these are the kind of prospects that we're going to be looking at for second-round value pickups. Something that you don't necessarily need, but dude, a third like legitimate weapon under this little contract as compared to like a DJ Moore contract or other veterans would be pretty damn insane for this offense. Again, I would like to just go heavy on defense and hope we hit some pretty big home runs there, but I think going for absolute speed and size here, a guy whose dad played in the NFL, whose brother plays in the NFL, SEC. That's a guy that I'm in on. So Chris Brazel, the second. Wide receiver, Tennessee, potential second-round pick for the Bears if he falls that far. That's a name that you're going to want to see fall on draft day. So that was it, guys. Episode 173, short and sweet, nice and easy. Thank you very much for watching, for listening. Comment what you guys would prefer on our second round picks. Would you rather like a guy like Chris Brazel and go offensive, or would you like to spend both of our second round picks on defense and hope we hit someone good? So give us a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like us, follow us, subscribe, do it all, man. Catch you guys in tomorrow's episode. I love you, Ben Johnson. I love you, Caleb. Thanks for watching.